So welcome everyone. So today we're going to discuss about Hindi newspaper of 22. And before we start, I just want to give a word of notice is that I'm having a very bad cold. So my sound seems a little stuffy and I'm really sorry for that. So yes. So we're starting with today's newspaper and I just want to give out is that the first page is advertisement and when we got independence, the death of Gandhi was published in second page of newspaper. So I purposefully, show the first page of the advertisement uh, because during those period, the first page was dedicated solely for the advertisements and purposes related to the commercial activities. So the recent death of Gandhi was reported in the second page of the newspaper at that time. So yes, now we're getting into the official first page. So we're having uh, bill issues that is the same one of. I'm sorry, excuse me for a minute. Yeah, for the bill for raising the marriage act of for women and the other one for the linking of Aadhaar card with the your voters ID. So here amid the all the opposition ruckus and all the opposition against the marriage act act of raising age of women from 18 to 21. So there were lots of opposition going against it, and it doesn't matter what it was, but even then it was passed. So yes, there is a series of why do we have a legislation so that we have equal representations of opposition and the ruling party, which is executive. But then, despite the fact that even the act is actually a very good thing. It's a development, a system for development for the upcoming society. But amid the voice protests, everything else, the act was passed. However, anyway, and not just for this, the other acts which is already there prevalent are gonna have amendment. That is, I'm gonna list out over here. That is already we have child marriage prohibition act because according to this act up until 18 was considered to be child marriage. Now once we have this age of 21 being the new legal age to get married, we're going to raise this age that up until 21 if anyone marries below the age of 21 it's going to be considered to be a child marriage. So that has to be amended. And the next one is Indian Christian, that is the we can't say that okay marriage act that you can't marry when you age, like suppose in the before scenario, suppose you get become 18 years old for a woman and 21 years for a man, you can get married, and that's not how it's going to be. For each separate religion we have enacted acts according to their own preferences. So we have Christian marriage act, Hindu marriage act, special marriage act, and such laws were passed, but everywhere it's mentioned that 18 as a number, 18 for women, but all that has to be amended to 21 years of age. Okay, and Muslim personal law, then application law, special marriage act. Special marriage act is for intercaste marriage, but even then you have to like change the age of marriage from 18 to 21. So that's being talked over here. So yes, uh, so that is over. Now the next one is that, but I just want to conclude by saying is that Smriti Irani, she has said that we are 75 years late. This was supposed to be passed way before. That the for women being 18 and for men being 21 to get married. For her, not just for her, for everyone unanimously agreeing that we shouldn't have any forms of gender discrimination. Why women can marry when she turns 18 and men have to wait few more years to get 21 to get married. So this is a very form of gender inequality. But there is a series of social issues related to it. I've already discussed last class. That is, in India, demographically, if you look into, a woman is considered to be a burden. So, keeping her in her family place or in her father's place or mother's place or whoever place that she's staying or residing, and then, she's considered to be a burden, and having that burden for 2 3 years extra will be will not be desirable, especially in situations of India. I'm not talking about the higher or middle class society, but people who are of lower middle class. What happens to them? For them, women are considered to be as a burden. So it's going to be depriving them of lots of, human rights, and it's going to violate many of the restrictions, and more importantly, they are going to be exploited in many cases and many scenarios. So we don't just need an act to increase the age of women. We need other constructive solutions also to help women in forms of empowerment also. Yes. Now we're done with that. The next one is Rajya Sabha passes electoral reforms. Okay. That is election laws. And what is that? Linking Aadhaar with, where is it, Raisa? Voters ID. Voters ID, even though it's not a mandatory one, that not everyone is supposed to be linking Aadhaar to their voters card, but whoever links it will get special preference. But even then, amid opposition being a ruckus, they actually passed it. So yes, even that also went smoothly. And the next one is the next news is that Sri Lanka detains 13 more Indian fishermen. So we have discussed in previous newspaper analysis that suppose this is India. I know my India doesn't look like an India, but it's okay. Okay, so suppose this is India. I think I'll just. Okay, now it looks much better, I suppose. Okay. So suppose this is India, and we all know that we have special economic zones. That is, in spite of being, see, we get the whole, autonomy over the mainland. This is our country, and we make our rules and we run our rules. So this is our mainland, and we have the rules related to it. But not just the mainland. So these are the oceans over here. We have oceans over here. We have Bangladesh over here. Okay, so the other parts, up to 200 nautical miles, we have special economic zones over here. Special economic zones means, so these oceans are considered to be the territory of India. All right. So the territories of India, we can make any. For example, we need a tidal wave project, or anything related to ocean projects. We can do it. We have the rights up to 200 nautical miles. So this is being given by the not just for us, but all the countries around the world. But what happens when a different country comes here somewhere in our special economic zone or our ocean territory? So we can't say that Sri Lanka, okay, we are going somewhere in between your Sri Lankan country. So even Sri Lanka belongs to India. We can't say that, right? So it doesn't happen that way. We make it in a different way. So we say that suppose this is the place. So here, what do? We measure the distance between Sri Lanka and India, or two countries which is happening over here. And what do? We measure the place, we measure the ocean between, and we divide it equally. Okay, this doesn't seem equally. And we divide it equally. So what happens? The strip becomes very narrow. Okay. I'm hoping this seems to be equally. So this strip seems narrow, and all the fishermen, suppose in Kerala fishermen have much more liberty. This is Kerala. They can travel over here up to 200 nautical miles. But what happens for the Tamil Nadu people? Since the special economic zones of the oceans are very narrow and very thin, there are chances for them to cross the border. It's not they're doing it on purpose, but they accidentally do it. And what happens? The Coast Guards of Sri Lanka will go and arrest them and will be detaining them. And our official Indian government will go after our Indian fishermen, and only then after that we can get a hold of them. So this is very an unfortunate incident, because it's not that they're doing it on purpose, they're just common fishermen, but it's been happening for the past many years, not just for us, When Sri Lankan fishermen would cross the border and we detain them. So yes, that's what's happening over here, and that one is over. And then that's all the other, state important news, and that is my state or regional important news because mine is a Kochi edition. Read only news which are of national importance. And then we have anti-national at the end. For me, it's here at the end. I'm not sure for the others where it is. Anti-national got defined in statuses as center. Okay, yeah, yeah, that's okay. So this is said by Ministry of Home Affairs that anti-national as a word is not included, but it was included later on when we had the emergency, and that was during 1976. Okay, 1976 it was included in our constitution, and right after it was removed. So anti-national as a word is not included in our constitution. He just wanted to clarify and just keep it as a very good point, as a good brownie point. This might be asked for your prelims, and even for your mains, you could just include this point when you're writing your answers. And just one more point is that federal as a word is not included in our constitution. Okay, even though India is a federal nation, federal as a point is not included in our constitution. Okay, so that also is over. And the rest others are my state related or regional news. And do not read it. See regional news in your news channel. That's more than enough for you. And skip the other 2-3 pages which is related to your city based, your state based news. Don't read your news again and waste your time because you're already watching it on your television, and that's enough for more than enough. And yes, now we are having our editorials. Read editorials because they are more important, the most important ones. And like I'm saying in all the other videos, I'll be just giving you the newspaper analysis, but you have to do your own work. What is that? Read in the newspaper, making notes on a daily basis. Yes. Now we have thinking before linking. Okay. So this is a small snippet over here. This is in relation to linking of Aadhaar to voters ID. Okay, even though it seems to be to streamline the process, everything we do get it. So that's the election commission and the people could streamline the process, could make it even more faster in a pace, good pace. But the problem is that, see, why do we have a legislation? We have three pillars in our democratic setup. What is that? Judiciary. One is judiciary. The other one is, okay, size difference. The other one is legislative. The other one is executive. And we have one more, that is media. Okay. So in short, we have three pillars in our democratic setup. Judiciary, that is Supreme Court, High Court, your district court, state court. And legislative is your parliament. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, your bicameralism. And executive is your prime minister and his cabinet ministers and all his ministers. So always judiciary is supreme over here. Right? Judiciary is supreme. And what is legislative? To pass laws and more importantly to review laws, reviews already existing acts and laws. So see, executors are the ones who are they. How do we select executors? The majority party. Okay, suppose we have BJP being the majority, so they are the ones who are executed. Like Prime Minister, he is the majority party leader, that is Narendra Modi, and the other cabinet ministers are the ones who are from the majority party. But there is no compulsion. But he would definitely would choose his own party members. So executive is the majority party. So what is legislative? You must have seen that in legislative, not just the ruling party or not just BJP, the other party members are also present. That is, legislative idea is to have equal participation of the ruling party and the opposition. Okay, ruling plus opposition. Why do we need that? We need that so that Okay, in legislative, these executives are answerable. These legislative members, you must have seen in television news and all that. These opposition party members are actually questioning these executive. Even our prime minister, what are you doing? What nonsense are you doing? They'll be, passing all these remarks, snarky comments. So you must have wondered that how that's happening. So legislative works in that manner. Anyone in the opposition have the right to question the executive. Okay, question executive. So that's what's happening over here. So in legislative, anyone could pass a bill, a new bill could pass not just by the ruling majority party members, but even a private member could also pass. But only thing is that it has to be passed by everyone. Vote has to be cast, discussion has to be passed, and only then that act becomes a law. But what's happening over here is that linking of the Aadhaar, it was passed amid, opposition party members walking out and then we not bothering them. And since the majority of legislative members are from the BJP or the ruling party, they have the, right to pass because majority people could vote and that becomes a law. So even though they could do it in a technicality, it doesn't seem right in a democratical setup. You have to look into considerations of everyone, each and every single one. Opposition party members of reasons are to be considered, why this needs to be taken care of, why this law shouldn't be passed. So that was essentially was lacking here. And this is not just for the voters ID or the linking of Aadhaar case, but I think for the past series of several months we are watching this. Okay, next editorial is changing the iconography of power. Okay, so I think even this is also being said to be related to this. That is, always in a democratical setup, judiciary is supreme, and the next second power comes to legislative, and then comes the executive. But we are this time, the BJP government we are finding is what we are finding majority government. This is I'm talking about second editorial. Okay, changing of iconography of power. We are finding majority of from the ruling party. Usually, we find is that suppose we need 10 members. The total number of people are 10 members. We'll be having 3 from the majority, 2 from the others, then 1, 2, 4, 5. I mean, you can't have 1, 5. Okay, suppose there are 10 members. 10 is the total strength of the parliament. I'm making much easier for you. And 4 will be the ruling party, and then we have 2, 3, and 1. So this is how this opposition also is stronger, and the ruling party is also stronger. But what happened over here for this time is that for this time we're having 7 as a ruling party, and then we having 2 and 1. So the opposition are very weak comparison to the ruling party. So whatever they are doing, these 7 people are doing it by themselves. They are, just saying, passing the bill. Okay, this is what we are doing. Ah, okay, then they are passing all together. They are not looking for the considerations of the opposition. So that's what's happening over here. All radical laws are being changed, or radical impositions are being made. That is, the JNK and Ladakh issue, making that from a state to a union territory, and removing the special provision for them, and demonetization, and GST passing, farm bills. So all these they're doing in sort of like centralization of power. So we're asking that how far this is right in democratical setup. Okay. Now the next one, a foul cry. That is, this is regarding the sacrilege that happened in Punjab. When it happened in Punjab, 2 people were killed. So they're asking is that how come these people, came in inside there, and how come the security is very weak? And even if the security is weak, how come the people who mob lynched this person, whoever the person is, even if a terrorist, whoever that be, how come that is not, taken any judicial or any? It doesn't go in that manner. Why it's that? So that is being asked. So next page we have stemming the onslaught of Omicron. So this is again with the corona pandemic. So we don't know how these Omicron, how potent that is. We are waiting for a week so that we're going to get papers released, and more importantly, we're going to get data regarding that. The union government has promised that in a week they'll be giving out reports whether to seeing the Omicron is that potent enough or not, or how far the infection could be. spread from one place to the other. So that will be given out. And then the next editorial is Gabriel Borik's acid test. Okay, so this is regarding child president. Just read through that. I'll be discussing news which is of national importance because only such questions will be majority be asked for your films and for your mains. They're not bothered. UPSC is not bothered what's happening in your locality, in the next place near to your house. They want to ask question which is of national importance. Yes, if a regional news is of a national importance, they're going to ask. But other than that, just completely skip through that. Okay, next one is a deeply insecure union territory. This is doesn't look right. Okay. I'm looking and drawing. Okay. Okay. So I hope this is yeah. And we have Ladakh over here, J and K, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So just like demonetization, it was demonetization. We all know that it was happened. It was passed in an overnight. Just in a day, everything happened. So much happened. So even over here, similarly, the political structure was changed overnight. Okay, just before the special provision being removed, Ladakh had lots of provisions and power, but all of a sudden that was taken away. And uh, see, for example, if I'm talking about a small child, a 5-year-old child, 5-year-old child getting lots of provision, and all of a sudden I'm saying that no, you wouldn't get chocolates from now onwards, without any warning, without any giving a caution, a word of caution. All of a sudden, all the provisions have been taken away from that. So yes, we're gonna get lots of resistance from them, and more importantly, see, there is a transition of change. We can't bring change all of a sudden. A transition of change has to be taken care of, but that didn't happen. And because of that, lots of structural issues came into being, and lots of administrative mishap also happened over here because streamlining of change wasn't happened. Okay, so that's that for the editorials. We're getting to the next page. So I'm giving quick overviews of all the news, all the important news stories because you shouldn't waste much time for all these. That's why. Okay, we are having Trinamool sweeps Kolkata polls. Skip that. Kejriwal promises graphic Goa government. Skip that. Do not read news of all these electoral. They saying their announcement. They saying okay, we're going to give you that, and merging of two political parties. They are not that important. Okay, maybe after the election that comes important, but before election, these people, giving, okay, what if promise that I'll be giving you that, I'll be promising you that. That is not important. Okay, next one, important news. Government disagrees with India's rank in World Press Freedom Index. Okay, so our position is 142 out of 180. So this is given out by Reporters Without Borders. Reporter Without Borders is actually, they carried out a series of research and they came with the conclusion that India stands, this is a rank, okay, this is not a mark, this is a rank. India's rank. India's rank about 180 countries, we are on 142. A World Press Freedom Index. That is so much of power that we have. We don't have much expression of speech. So this comes in sort of like shock. I'm not sort of like shocked because this is expected of us. But when you look into the political structure of India, we are a democratic nation. We have rights being given so much of power that is in a constitution in Article 19 Bar A, we have what is that expression of speech, and we don't have special power or special regulation for press and act. They're considered to be normal citizens. So even 19A is a rule governing the press and the freedom of press. But in spite of all that, we comes in 142th rank of 180, and this is a very bad rank or very poor rank. And our central government is actually disagreeing with them, and we can't just disagree with someone's statistical data because they have done lots of research and lots of analysis. After that only they came up with such figures. Okay, So this comes as your preliminary question. They'll be asking question: What is India's rank according to World Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Freedom Borders? So just keep that in mind. And then next news is government refuses poll bill scrutiny. This is again how much of your legislative giving voice to the opposition to discuss, to have a comment about that. But here, what happened is that the opposition, they disagreed and they walked out, and their opinions weren't taken into consideration. And what happened? The bill was passed already, even though the bill is a very good system for development. But in spite of that, the other people's recommendation, more importantly, the opinions weren't taken into consideration. The next news are not important. Opposition MP holds march. Okay, that is not important. Just skip through that. Next page. Again, your news page considered to be a national importance. So we have center calls to curve for combative Omicron. Yes, we all know that. First, we have beta variant. This is regarding your corona. Okay. At first, we had beta variant, and then we had delta variant, and then we have Omicron. So, beta was the first COVID pandemic wave that we had, the first wave. Okay, the second wave was the Delta. And Delta, the problem was that when Delta was, identified in different parts of our India, we actually went 4 months without any forms of additional restrictions. We just went like normally. And only after second wave came in, we said, okay, now this is a serious issue. People are dying, people are perishing. We have to look into restrictions. And only after that, restrictions were imposed. Now again, we're having Omicron, and we don't know for sure whether this will be the third wave or this is of any series of threat. We have to look into it. Investigation has to be taken into considerations, and the central government is saying that we have to, we can't wait for the third wave to hit us and then take necessary actions towards it, because that's going to be catastrophic for all of us. So that's being talked over here. Just read through that. Okay. Next one, it's going to be a shocker. If you haven't read the newspaper, I'm sorry, but I think I will have to break the news to you. It's going to be a very shocker to everyone. And Covishield, we know we know that in India we have Covishield and Covaxin, two vaccination, but majority people are opting for Covishield because of travel restrictions are very less considered with the Covaxin. But Covishield, which is the Oxford or AstraZeneca, their effect wanes off after 3 months. So after 3 months, it's like nothing. We have to get another booster dose for Covishield. So this is a new report being given out, and see, there's no evidence whether this Covishield will be protecting us against Omicron, and we have to wait and watch, because everything is new happening, and there is a series of timeline that has to be given to the medical team to observe, to watch, to see the side effects, how far that's affecting, and only after that they can give up the reports. So it's not like, okay, a new variant came, we have to look into it. It's not that they have to work; we have to give time also towards them, and it's a longitudinal research. So for that reason, so as far as now Covishield, the effect wanes off after 3 months. Even if you take a vaccination, you must have noticed that there's a lots of breakthrough. That is breakthrough. Suppose uh, you're vaccinated, but in spite of that, you will be infected in some cases. But after 3 months, it's definite that the effect won't be there, and you're gonna get the disease. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry for breaking that news if you haven't heard of it. And yes, that's over. And then Shilali Kalan puts Kashmir in a deep freeze because we're getting to this winter season. And Kashmir, as space, we know that they're having harsh winter spells. And yeah, that's the news. Just read through. You can write it down below the ecology environment. And yes, that is over. And yes, that's also over. That the world news. Read the information which is regarding your China and Taliban. Just read through that, because they might ask questions regarding that. But the other nations, what they're doing, it's not our concern. And then news related to your business also. We don't have much news over here, which is of your national importance. Okay. So that's it for today's video, and I think you could understand that I could only do the analysis part. You have to do your own part. What is that? Reading through the newspaper, making notes daily basis. Do not write okay 22 12 2021 and write news jot on news. Don't do that. Make separate title categories and make news regarding that. Terrorism, make a topic on that, and every day you're going to find news on related to terrorism. Write down on that file or folder, and then you're going to have bills amended or bills regulations. Find news every day or every week that you're going to find news related to that, and then write. You're going to have topic wise news. That will going to be make you easier because you're not taking down notes just for the sake of taking down notes. We need to have a follow up when you read again the piece of notes that you read in future. You're going to have follow up. For that reasons only I'm asking you to make separate topic, and that will be helpful to you. That will streamline your whole process. So that's it.